Hey, Shalom, Mesh. I want to start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kodash, that belongs to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you, brothers, and work the Most High in truth and in sincerity. So, quick one. I just saw this one earlier on. It just made me laugh. Right, says the year is 2030, getting my cash ready to buy a loaf of bread, and here you see $1 million as a banknote, right? I laugh because my family's quote unquote Zimbabwean. No, you lived, I've seen the banknotes. I had to go back home early 2020, do some stuff out there. And legit, I was holding like maybe 10 US dollars, and the equivalent of 10 US dollars, and I had a stack full of cash. So, but this is the thing, because when then I came back to the UK, and then soon after that, you had the whole, coronavirus thing happening, and you started seeing a whole load of shelves that were empty, and I was like, right, that's why for me, I made that joke. It's starting to look a lot like Zimbabwe everywhere you go, right? And the reason being is it was very interesting seeing, quote unquote, a civilized country, because that's what they like to tell you. They like to tell you, the West is civilized, everything's so good in the West. And it was ironic because when I was out there, I was telling my cousins all the time, because they obviously they see the West and they're like, oh, it's all amazing in the West. And I was trying to tell them, look, man, at least here you can grow your own food. This is the thing. Over there, you have a house, you have land. You have land, right? You've got your corn on the land. If you want some chickens, you can raise some chickens on your land. So many different things, right? They've got like watered every house more or less. Well, at least where my where my mom and my grandfather was living, every house had like their own like water tank or a well or something like that. And people that didn't, guess what? You would help each other out. Okay, why? Because everyone was able to contribute something to that network. Whether one person might be able to contribute eggs, another person might be able to contribute chickens, another person might be able to contribute corn, etc., etc., etc. Right? So going back to this, right? Everyone in the West likes to think that they're doing so much better than everyone else, but really they are completely reliant. We are completely in this carnal flesh. We are relying on this system that this man set up. That's why we, have faith in Yahweh Shem Shai, that when we get cut off from this system, that we're going to be able to continue, right? And that's how he's going to get everyone to fall in line, right? Because he's going to be telling them, look, do you want to continue? Do you want to move in this particular kingdom? Do you want to carry on having the things that you have? Do you want to carry on eating, right? Then get in line. But we're not looking to eat, okay? So like I said, for me, I found this banknote here quite funny, whatever, what have you. So I'll just go to a couple of priests. Oh, one of the which this is this guy here. Basically, this link here links to this video. I won't play it because you know how YouTube is, man. Right, so you can see there what the channel is. Pratt with two T's, Leon, Leon. So Prattleon. That's the name of the channel, right? And the title of the video is DuckTales Inflation Lesson, right? It's a short video, see, 4 minutes 27. Give it a watch, and what this made me think of was like how cartoons back in the day basically had a load of a lot more insightful. You see, not like the crap that you see today, because there's actual lesson being taught here, right? But yeah, we enough of that. We'll grab into the precepts, right? As James 5:1 says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl, for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and ye shall eat your flesh, as it were fire, and ye have heaped treasures together. It's lucky for the last days," right? Let's look into this word here, cankered, right? It basically means to rust over, right? Because look, these riches, all these different people have, all these individuals. It's not gonna mean anything, right? It's losing its value as we speak, right? So this is Proverbs 11:4, right? Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. Okay, so in the time of destruction, look, man, whether were able to afford a Bentley, or able to afford, a nice house with a swimming pool and land and horses, whatever, what have you, right? In that day, none of that is gonna mean anything, right? Because look, this world is getting done away with. This world is finished. Okay, right? We're just waiting. We're just waiting patiently for the Lord to, to sign that deal. Right? This is the example that came into my mind. You get people. I don't know how it is in the States, but here, you might buy process of buying a house takes several months. Right? You may agree in principle, right, with the individual, right, that you're buying the house from. Look, we're going to buy this house, right? And then you got to get the paperwork done. You got to get the lawyers in. You got to get the house survey, this, that, and the other. Then you got to get the mortgage money from the bank, and then eventually, a couple of months after the fact, you actually move in, right? So we're in that period. We're in that period when, it is done. We're just waiting for the formalities, right, of this thing to play out. Okay, we're seeing, the infrastructure for the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, being implemented by way of this current pestilence. Okay, we're seeing these things happening, right? So for us, we know that the time is close, but for everyone else, they're in deep sleep, and thus saith the scriptures, right? So riches profit not in the day of wrath. So you can't pay the angels off. You can't do that, right? And there's another thing: there's no point having riches in this world, because guess what? All of it, right, is gonna be wiped away, and then guess what? He's gonna come up to you like, look, man, hey, you want your money back? Hey, just take this mark, take this chip. It's Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And when it says all, that is all. Right, did another video earlier on about, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Look, this whole earth is given into this man's hand. Right, that's why I've got, family out there in Zim. Got my my ex-wife out there, Korea, whatever have you. Talking about, like, oh my god, this whole situation is so terrible, so many people are dying. And I asked him, well, how many people died? And it was like 4. Right, both of them was like, oh, it was like 4, or it was something ridiculous like that, right? But why? That fear machine, right, that influence, that witchcraft is global. Why? Because the Lord hath given the whole earth into this man's hand, right? Right, so this is both small and great, right? Your regular guy to your celebrity, rich and poor, right? So all these guys with their riches, this, that, and the other, right? It's gonna mean nothing in that day. Why? Because they're gonna be forced to take this mark of the beast. Right? One thing that we're expecting is this man to crash the economy, some way, somehow. An event, a black swan event, or whatever, right? And we're just waiting for that to happen. It says to receive a mark, and that word there, mark in the Greek, is charagma, right? Something inserted, right? So that's what we know is, it's not just gonna be, like some people will say it's white women. Some people will say, because is the thing. So that means if you're a 6-year-old, right? You have to first have sex with a white woman for you to be able to go, so-called white woman, for you to be able to go and buy food. Right, your dad sends you to the shop, and before you enter the shop, you have to have sex with a so-called. How does that even make sense? Right? It says, I'm free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Right? And it's the thing, right? It has to be, as opposed to breaking it down, it has to be, people are going to be consenting to this, right? People are going to be consenting to this mark. Okay, because he, just like right now with the to the antidote to the current pestilence, right? Before you get it, you know, because I've seen certain people who have get it, they sign a consent form, right? I consent to this or I don't consent to this, right? And then afterwards, then you can, then the doctor is able to then, you know, administer that thing to you. Now, why? Because it's a, what do you call it? It's a procedure, right? They're cutting into you, they're putting something into you. Therefore, you have to consent, right? A doctor can't just, you know, hem you up and then just stick it in you, right? Well, in the current set of laws, let me put it like that, because you know how this devil be, right? He can change the rules tomorrow, right? He's given himself the leeway to do that. Okay, but as things stand, right, you have to consent to these things. Okay. So saying that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, and this is but you know, back on topic, right? It says Ecclesiastes 12:3. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few." It's talking about your workers, right? You know, you've had there was week after week after week after week at the Slovakia at the beginning of this current situation, where, you know, I was reading the news reports from the States, and it was saying 1 million people filed for unemployment, another 1 million people have filed for unemployment, 1.5 million people have filed for unemployment, and still now it's still like 700,000 people filing for unemployment, right? You know, over here I think it's because the official numbers is 700,000, but did between when between Jan no but basically between this whole period, there's been 1.2 million more people claiming benefits. Right now the English system is very interesting in that every people that basically weren't able to work were put on what's called furlough, meaning that they were getting up to 80% of their basically of their wages, to basically not do anything. So what we expect to happen is, as soon as them furloughs get lifted, then you'll get a load of people more that are going to be made unemployed. Okay, so we're expecting things to get progressively worse. Right now, obviously, we hope that something else happens before then, right, to help further this agenda, right? Because once again, I was saying, you know, the furlough, that's you know, that ends all the way in like what, June, July. I think they said like August, September, or something like that. You know, and obviously that's way out there. So we hope something else is happening, you know, in this time. Right, so let me carry on. It says, "On the ground it sees because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." Right now, it's going into like your economic forecasters. Right, they're looking in their forecast. They're seeing, yo, what's gonna happen, and things ain't looking good. Right, and this is, I believe, the individual that posted this is an economic a forecaster, right? Just from you know, I don't know who he is really, but I was just like looking into like the responses, and this is what I have you know, worked out from the response, or rather, what's the word I'm looking for? This is what I've deduced, right? It's, you know, worked out. I think actually works here, right? But he says close, but your mind is in a pre-COVID world, right? Because the next thing is exactly this, right? The next thing is exactly that, a digital wallet, right? No longer is it a world of cash, it's a digital world. That's why, for instance, before people like talk about the yellow fever vaccine certificate, that's a piece of paper, right? Whereas for this coronavirus one, what they're talking about, they're talking about a you know, an app, a QR code, this, that, and the other one, because we're heading in a digital direction. Okay. Yeah, I mean, 2030 is, that's way too long. There's another thing. It's a beautiful thing of these of having this knowledge and understanding, you know, because you know all of I mean, Sven, he's talking 2030. He genuinely still thinks that we're gonna be here in 2030. He genuinely, which, you know, yeah, Hashem Yashar as we're, you know, we're long. It's year 9 in you know, in the kingdom by that time, right? But you know. You know, we're not looking to be here that long. Right? We're just not looking to be here that long. You know, we're hoping that the Lord does something, right? We're hoping that the Lord does something. But hey, see, I believe the point's been made. As always, Lord's with us, edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.